Hi, and welcome to Living History. My name is Marianne Tashko, and it's my pleasure to be interviewing prominent citizens of our Conejo Valley, and today it's my honor to be interviewing Mr. Dick Hoos, who is also a former mayor. Hi, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Marianne.
It's great to have you here.
Appreciate the chance to come in and chat with you.
I understand that you were one of our mayors, 69,
A long time ago.
1970.
Yes.
What number?
I
Mayor?
think number 4 in the long sequence. Been quite a few, as you know.
Yes, that's right. How long have you been in the Conejo Valley?
We came here in 62, November of 1962. We had lived in Canoga Park in the San Fernando Valley for about 7 years prior to that, but moved on out here in the fall of 62.
What brought you way out here?
My job was in Oxnard, and commuting from Canoga just didn't seem like the thing to do, so I sort of took the coward's way out and moved halfway to Oxnard so that if things didn't go well, I could always go back in the other direction. Fortunately, that didn't work out, and I was with ABEX for many years up there in the aerospace business.
Did you have children? Did you have a family when you came out here?
Oh my, yes. We have 5. We have three daughters and 2 sons, and they were all with us by that time. So they've all grown up here in the Conejo.
What was it like when you came to the Conejo Valley in 1962?
Well, very different than it is now, as you would expect. I think there were like 20,000 people, maybe maximum, in the whole Conejo, and now, of course, it's 120,000. So it's quite different. And the freeway was not in. Jungle Land was still around, and Thousand Oaks Boulevard came in at an angle, not the way it does now. That all got relocated over the years. It was just a very small town, kind of a neat thing.
What are some memorable experiences of Thousand Oaks, maybe with your children?
We had a lot of pleasant memories, of course, but there was a place called The Plunge down on the boulevard. It was a swimming pool, except that the sides were sloping and it was very shallow and it was very, very dangerous. And the kids did go swim there, but it wasn't too long before somebody figured out that it really was kind of a safety hazard, and it went away. But there were lots of little, very small town kind of things in those years. And of course, lots of open spaces compared to what we have today.
What did a house cost in 1962?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. We bought a half-acre brand new home over in Waverly Heights, the Waverly Heights area, for $27,000. Nice home, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, half-acre horse zone. You could have horses if you wanted to. A bit different than it is now.
A lot different than it is now. So what are the changes that you see now? What's different in Thousand Oaks now?
Mostly people and all the things that come with people, of course. It's just a natural thing. As you add more and more people, there are more and more traffic signals, and the streets get wider and nicer, but more and more crowded. And it doesn't mean that it all goes away, but it is quite different than it used to be. We are preserving, or the city's been very good in preserving open space over the years, and that helps a lot.
When did you decide to get involved with the city politically and get on city council?
Well, the incorporation activity was in 1964, as you're probably aware. We had been trying to get sewers in our area. We were all on septic tanks and had lots of problems. And we've been trying to get some sewers in, and we did manage to make that happen in '64. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, I was the chairman of the committee that put that all together, and excuse me, somewhere in the middle of all of that, somebody suggested that I take a run for the city council, and I thought about it and decided to do it. So I ran in '64. There were 38 candidates for city council for 5 seats. I think I finished about number 15 or 16 at that point. Then 2 years later, in '66, there were 2 seats open, but only about 17 candidates, I think it was, and I managed to get one of those 2 open seats in '66.
Who sat on the council with you?
Oh, Bob Talley and John Tapking and Al Fiore. Those are the three. Oh, and Dave Betts was the fifth member at the time. They were all kind of long-term folks out here. Talley ran a drugstore down on the boulevard, had been here for many years. But most of us had been around just a few years at that time. Actually, it was kind of interesting. I won by 3 votes, if you can believe it. Needless to say, there was a recount, not quite like the one we've had recently, but there was a recount, and when it was all over, I won by 6 votes. So, kind of interesting. A lot
Every
of fun.
vote counts.
Every vote counts. Yep,
And history repeats itself.
that's true.
What were some of your personal accomplishments sitting on the council?
I don't know that I can do very well with that one. I didn't view a lot of those things as personal because it is a group decision, you know, a committee kind of decision in the final analysis. I tried to support a lot of things that I thought were good for the city or would be good for the city. The master plan that we put together during that era was probably one of the most important things the council did, because that kind of guided the development over the years, and I think has been pretty good in doing that, and the future councils have done a pretty good job of following that, I think. Don't know that I can answer your question very specifically as far as my own personal thing, but
what would you say is your proudest achievement in your lifetime? And it doesn't have to do with the city of Thousand Oaks, but
oh my, that's a difficult one. I guess just raising 5 children.
that's a big accomplishment.
It was certainly a big challenge, and I think we did pretty well.
And do they all live close? They live close by? Did they decide to stay?
Two in the area here, 2 in San Diego, and 1 back in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They just moved there very recently. My youngest son lives in Tennessee now.
I understand you have 11 grandchildren.
Oh yes, we got quite a gang. Everybody had 2, and then our youngest son, they adopted a little boy, so they now have 3. So we have 11 grand total.
Got an odd number.
An odd number now. And when we ring the bell to get together, there are 23 of us all together with the spouses and then the grandchildren.
Are you able to do that very often, get the whole gang together?
Yeah, we manage to do that a time or 2 each year, and we like to go to Palm Springs and spend some days out there together.
Who are your heroes in your life?
Oh my. Well, because I've been in in the aerospace defense industry for all of my working life, I would think that some of the folks there would probably qualify. The John Glenn and people like that, and a lot of the early people that you would not have heard of in the early experimental years in high-speed aircraft, Scott Crossfield and Joe Cotton and people like that. As far as the locally, I think Al Fiore has to be has to be at the top of the pile.
You think it was one of my questions, who's had the biggest impact, you think, on the city of Thousand Oaks?
Oh, I would think it would be Al,
Right.
without much question.
What?
Well, he just was a very solid citizen and had a lot of good ideas and worked very hard at it for 30 plus years.
He still is working very hard too.
I'm sure he is. I haven't been tracking it lately, but I'm sure Al's in there working, helping wherever he can.
What do you think the biggest challenges are right now that are facing the city of Thousand Oaks? Or our country, for that matter?
Well, for Thousand Oaks, I think it's going to be how to provide the housing for the growth that's almost certainly going to take place. And it seems like we're going to have to permit higher and higher density housing, which bothers me personally, but I understand that, and it is necessary, I think, because we can't keep spreading out and having half-acre single-family dwellings forever, or we'll spread out right into the ocean. We've got to be a little more efficient in how we do all of this. So there will be a lot more apartments and condominiums and single-family on smaller and smaller lots, and I don't personally like that, but I see it as being a necessary thing, that it's just going to happen, going to have to happen, really. And I don't know what the current challenges of the council are as far as individual things, but just coping with growth and trying to keep the valley sort of like we all like to have it is going to be their challenge, I think. Keep a lot of open space and parks and things of that nature that give it that feel that we like.
If you had to describe the city of Thousand Oaks to someone who'd never been here, someone on the East Coast, how would you describe it?
Oh, let's see. Well, it is in a valley, a beautiful valley, and mountains all around. A relatively flat area once you get down in the valley. It has become a pretty much of a bustling city now with 120 or 130 people. I don't know how many exactly are here now, but it's a very dynamic community. We have a civic arts plaza and a lot of cultural things to see and do. A good place to raise children and families, I think. I guess that's the kind of thing you were thinking of.
Yes, exactly. Do you have a personal motto? Something you've lived by?
No, I probably do, but I can't think of it and put it into words at the moment. But
Well, as we look back on the history of the Conejo Valley, and you certainly played a major part in the beginnings, being the fourth mayor.
yeah, it was a fun time.
Why was it fun?
Well, just the closeness at that time. A lot of our friends were very heavily involved too. So we just kind of all did what we thought was right. And we were all a lot younger, of course, and we had a lot of parties and fun times along the way. I think that was just a very active community. Everybody was willing to get involved. And
How would you like to be remembered?
That's a tough one. Just as a guy who tried to do the right thing, I guess.
Well, good. Sounds like you have, with 11 grandchildren and a big family, and
That part of it's been great, that's for sure.
that's good.
That's for sure.
Did I miss a question that you would have liked to have answered?
No, I think you've done very well. I'm not sure how I've done, but you did
I
very
think you've done great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
well. Yeah, I'm glad to come down and chat with you. I think the city's really done a great job, and I'm really happy to be part of it.
Good. We're happy that you've decided to do that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.